Let's go ahead and add some information about the description of this temperature, right? So inside of our H stack, I'm going to add something else, another text field here. Let's say text, self, forecast view model, what's new, and it's going to call weather description. As you see, we haven't created that yet. No problem. We're going to do that right now. I'm going to copy this and go to somewhere around here. I'm going to just say var is a string that has been expected if let description self dot weather this forecast list first item of the list, go to weather, and then first again, and then get description. Ooh, that's a lot of things going on here. What's happening here is following. We are going straight to the list, obviously. We go down to the weather. We know this is indeed an array or a list, which means we have to go first again, go inside the first element, and then we go to the description field. That's what we're doing here, right? That's all. Okay, and then we are going to format that as well because we want all of the first letters to be capital of the description. I'm going to say let formatted disc like this, the description that we got. I'm going to capitalize, and I'm going to say with, I'm going to capitalize with that current, okay, locale current. Very good. And then I'm going to return our formatted, else just say return nothing. Okay, look how simple this is. If I run this now, it's going to go ahead and get our weather description and make sure everything is good, and we should see something really nice. Scattered clouds, that is in Spokane. Is that true? If you put Spokane there, we should see the first description, scattered clouds. But notice again, because we wanted to make sure that the first letter of each word was capitalized, because that's what we did with this formatting that we did here. You can see that we are capitalized the current with current locale, which is the United States language for per se. So each letter now, you can see it's scattered clouds. They are capitalized, the first letters of each word, right? So let's go back to where we're calling this, and we can go ahead and add a few modifiers here, just one actually. And I want this to be color. I'm going to use the secondary. There we go. And we should see a better color, hopefully. And there we go. Very nice. Now, as you see here, we need to look into adding the actual icon. But for now, let's go back to our main, or content view, I should call. Content view here, we're going to just add an image here. In fact, we added this little note to say that we need to add an image. So I'm going to, for now, say image, such. And I'm going to pass a system name image, and I'm going to just add, let's see, I'm going to use the cloud.hail like this, and I'm going to make this resizable for obvious reasons, and I'm going to put in a frame so I have more control of about 200, and height, it's going to be about 200 as well. And I want alignment to be center of this frame. Let's give it a foreground to be white as such. Okay, let's save this and run. We should see hopefully something pleasing here, and there we go. Looks very good. Now, although this looks great, the problem here is that we want to make this a little bit more dynamic, because the idea is, as you see here, depending on the weather conditions, whether there are clouds, okay, like this, we want to create some sort of an entity that will allow us to kind of decipher what this means. Meaning, we want to create something that if main says clouds, then we're going to go and fetch the cloud icon. Now, there's different ways to do this. In fact, the API itself passes in the icon string, which you can then invoke another API to get the actual icon. Now, we're not going to do that. We're going to just be a little bit more creative ourselves and get this to work the way we want, okay? So what we're going to do is very simple. In fact, I already did that. If you go to our helper, when we paste and copied everything in here, notice we have another function here called show weather icon. This show weather icon does exactly what I just said. It goes ahead and fetches the main part of our array rather and the object inside and looks at what does it say. If it says clouds, have a switch statement here, find somewhere where it says clouds. There we go, clouds. It goes ahead and returns this icon here, cloud.sun.fill. Now this icon is actually from our SwiftUI system. It's all internal, right? System names. That way, then we can get the correct, at least the approximate icon that we need. Okay, so this was my little solution, which I think works pretty well. So you should have that code. So in this case here, we don't have to do all of this. All we have to do now is to make this a little bit better, is to pass for our system name here. We're going to pass the helper as such, right? And invoke the show weather icon. Now there's two there. We're going to use the first one. The second one we're going to use later, we'll see. And here I'm going to say self.forecast view model, and I'm going to pass the weather forecast, but that is what it's asking. So that's all it does. It's going to go ahead and say, okay, whatever we're passing in this weather forecast, if the main says clouds, well, what's going to happen is, so we're going to go ahead there. And if it says clouds, it's going to go ahead and return this icon there, right? Which is going to be cloud, sun, fill. That's all that's happening here. So it's all automatic now. Depending on whatever we're getting from our API, that's what's going to be showing. So if I save this and give it a run, voila, you can see now all of this is contextual, meaning, in fact, let's test it up a little bit. If I say Boston here, it's cloud in there, apparently. Let's say Berlin. Hit enter. Look, you see that changed because in Berlin it's probably sunny, obviously. Say Berlin. If we go to the first one, skies is clear, and since sky is clear, it's going to go ahead and get the correct icon. So this works perfectly. Let's say Mumbai. Ah, it's rainy over there. Let's say Tokyo, and it's also raining. So we can keep going and finding all these different places. You will see that the icons will always change if they need to be changed, depending on what we're getting in our weather main field. All right, so very good. Now let's test it out for something else here. Perhaps we can just have some fun here. Let's see, we said Berlin. Let's say Sofala. It's very sunny in Australia. Let's say BR. It's raining as well. So it is indeed working. Very good.